Beautiful. All right, I'm going to pull up our notes real quick just so that in case there's stuff I should be writing, it's nice and easy for us to do that.
Right. Oh, I see it. Oh my god, this is insane.
How do you like it?
It's good. It's good. Now.
So
Great.
so tell us how you're doing, Samantha.
Okay, so I'm doing okay. You know, this, like, if we're talking about in general, this, like, the state of the world right now, a little bit overwhelming. Yeah, a different change of pace. I'm really, like, am not, well, I'm a person that's, like, not that comfortable with change, especially when it's abrupt and kind of forced. So this, like, change that everyone's going through is a very different experience for me. So it's, but it's a learning process.
Could you check for me really quick? Is the sound working on the live stream? Do you hear it?
Let me put it on. Let's see. I think I'm the only one watching it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's working.
Cool, perfect. So state of the world has been kind of wild.
Yeah, it's been very interesting. I'm just gonna do this. Yeah, so I don't know. We're just doing the most that we can, and that's about it. Yeah. I've been trying to keep up with, like, similar routines, because a lot of my life prior to this experience was very much outside of the home and very, like, community based in like work and school and all of that, and so it's very different to be home most of the time and just have work to do. So it's like, it's good. I'm still keeping myself busy to an extent, you know. I have an extended spring break this week, so I think I'm going to use this week, like, coming up to get some stuff done and to just keep working. Yeah. And drink my coffee. Yeah. But yeah, how have you been doing with everything?
I have learned how to use Zoom really well.
That's good.
I came back to see my mom, which was nice. I stayed here the last day or two. In terms of Haven, we stopped being able to do public events, so we switched to doing online events like today.
Right. That's...
Yeah, and we created what's it called? It's called a Discord channel. So it's like an online community space where everybody can kind of, like, either do their work or, like, connect and talk with each other. And I've been learning how to, like, advertise it and make, like, a nice space. Like, I just created a little channel called Last Night's Dreams, and I just put up one of my dreams in it. And so I'm hopeful more people will do that. I've had people, like, writing their poetry in the channel and, like, talking about their poetry and stuff like that, as well as doing some of, like we're working on a textbook, so, like, that kind of work has been able to happen in this space, and it's been cool. It's like humans online. I really feel like this is an episode of Black Mirror.
It honestly, it feels like it a little bit. It's very, like I said, like, it's surreal to the point where it's, like, a little bit overwhelming, you know? Yeah, very different. But it's also, it's a weird kind of comforting feeling to know that we're all doing it together. Like, we're all in it in our own way, obviously, but we're all going through, like, the same thing, and we're just doing the best that we can in this time. That's also uplifting in itself. Like, everyone's just doing their part for themselves and trying to be there for themselves and their other people, and so it's good. Yeah, I think this is it. Like we can definitely make a positive experience out of this, and I think it's already happening. You know, yeah. So
it's the biggest thing on my mind has been figuring out how to help people keep from becoming despondent.
Right.
Because it's so easy to be, wow, it's beautiful outside. Man, it's really becoming spring.
My windows, the blinds open, and, like, the natural sunlight is pouring through the window, and it's just, it's a lovely day. Lovely day.
Yeah, I definitely want to go for, like, a run or something outside.
I was thinking that. I'm definitely going to do that later.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
I put noticed that too. I've been outside more, just because I have time, like to be, in at my house. I mean, that's where I'm at. And so I've noticed I'll take time like for breaks instead of just taking a break wherever I was out in the community, like in my car. I'm actually sitting outside in the sun and absorbing, the vitamin D, and it feels good.
Uh-huh.
Like I think that's my favorite part is that I'm outside more,
Yeah.
which is really good. Yeah.
It seems like you're adapting pretty well.
Well, we're trying. We're trying. I want to be realistic. Like, this is not easy, and it's not like, the most exciting time for me. I think I'm just focusing on all the positives. But because there's a definite balance of positive and negative that come along with this experience. Just because I've realized an extrovert, and I do thrive off of human interaction and like physical
People
contact.
Are awesome.
Yeah, I'm like such a people person, and I miss like physically being with people and having those physical social conversations because I like being around people's energies. And for me, like that it takes it like I need to be in a physical realm for that to actually transpire. So, but there's ways to do it. I think I've realized also at the same time that we have all of this technology at like such like it's a pivotal time, like just with all this happening, it's really helping us grow and continue to progress in the ways that we want to. So I do appreciate technology. I've always been skeptical. I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I like it. Like I just want to, like write on my notepad and paper and like take notes and like not use my computer as much. But now we're kind of being forced to utilize as much technology as we can to keep going. And I think I'm going to end up liking the challenge. And not so much right now. It's very difficult for me. But I can see maybe in a couple weeks how it's going to be a really good challenge for me.
So do you feel like you are kind of utilizing this time to kind of prepare material for your book?
I've noticed that not recently. I think, so this past week felt like a very long week in my eyes. It just felt like very dragged. I was kind of in a weird headspace, and I kind of understand what was going on until like the very end of it. Just with my big life changes, that affected my day-to-day life. And I think I woke up today and I was like, I'm going to start doing stuff today. And I think this conversation really prompted me because I'm like, I'm really excited to do this and to talk about it. And I think this is going to jumpstart my progress in my book, and also maybe just get ahead in other ways in my other like parts of my life too. So cool. I think this time specifically, like because we don't know how long all of this is going to last for, but I do think I'm going to work on this more and develop more ideas, because I'm going to talk about my book for like a second.
You should get so the viewer is curious what the book is and what it's about. So if you could tell people watching what you're writing about and why you feel it's important, that would be really helpful to the people watching.
Yes. So that's perfect because that's kind of what I wanted to get into. So I'm writing, I kind of had this revelation a month or two ago when I first came upon this idea, and I basically realized that we have a really difficult time communicating as a human race with people who think differently from us, and I think everyone struggles with that in like very small ways in their own life, and have had situations where they couldn't get through a conversation because it just didn't feel like there was an end. It just felt like you were almost barking at each other. And that made me very angry for some reason. And I was like, I don't understand why we can't ever come to like an agreed solution to like the conversation itself, even if it's not a solution to the issue we're discussing, but just to resolve the conversation together as two people who disagree. I just felt that was a possibility. And so I kind of came up, this word is not something I came up with, but it just kind of dawned on me that this is kind of what I was getting at. But effective communication is what I think we need as a human race to progress further and to really learn from each other. And that and that consists of active listening and really being there for the person who you disagree with and understanding their side of the story and whatever that conversation is about. And so that's kind of the basis of the book, is to exemplify how this is a possibility and how we are able to do this if we just put in a little bit more effort. And so what I want to do with this book specifically, because that's a very broad topic, I want to bring it into, I think there's 6 different parts to the book. And those parts explain like different scenarios of like difficult conversations and how people have those conversations and how we can work forward to just agree to disagree in a way. And obviously everyone, it has, different ways of conversing with one another. And it's not going to be like, this is not like a guidebook. It's just an example of maybe a possibility. And so what I really want to do, which this is why most of the book has to be done either through conversations like this, where it's like a live video, because I want to do interviews and I want to interview people and actually have physical conversations and create dialogues that explain what I'm trying to help people understand. So that's really what I want to do. And I just think it'll be helpful for me too, because I also struggle with having difficult conversations. And I think that's a flaw of mine, is to not be able to listen completely to someone else that I disagree with. So I think this will be helpful for me too, just personally, but I also think it'll help people in general and just progressing themselves with other people around them, because we're all different. And it's a good thing that we are, because that's how we learn, It's a really good thing. So yeah, that's what I want the book to be about. Just like a really positive, affirmation type of thing. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so like, what do you feel like is the next step for you?
Well, I need to develop my outline a little bit more. I have a basic outline that we created together.
Yes.
And so I've been working with Haven, which has been fantastic because you guys have been really motivating me. And I've also, like, I am a creative person, but I'm also a very practical person. And when I'm like, so both of those together kind of clash, because creative, I have my own creative process, but practical is like things don't get done unless I have a plan, so it's like where, how can I make those two flow better together? So Haven's been helping me establish all of that together and kind of make it work and flow. So that's been helpful, but I definitely need to work on my outline and kind of include more details and maybe set up, I've talked to different people about it in the interviews, and so I have like a mental list of who I want to interview, but I need to make a concrete list. I need to actually come up with all of the conversation topics that I want to talk about and just discuss and have these discussions set in place, and maybe with some dates and times, and just set up those dialogues. So that's what I really need to do. I think that would be proficient. Yeah.
Do you how can I help you in the next coming weeks and months to make sure, like, to help along the process?
I think what I really need to do is to develop my social media more. I think once I establish that and maybe learn how to make it more appealing and reach more people so that they're interested in just the conversation, or if they want to actually be part of these conversations and the book in general. Because if I do as many interviews as I can and get a very a wide variety of people, just a very wide range, I think that will be more accurate and maybe just be more general. So just reaching out and reaching more people, because I have like 10 people in mind in my own personal circle that I definitely want to interview and include in part of my this process. But I think I need to reach more people. So developing social media, I think, is the way to do that.
Cool. Would you be down to, because I can connect you with people pretty easily, would you be down to do like interviews like in a live stream style session?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because
Yeah.
I feel like if we did that, we could make some really entertaining content for people. Like
Yeah.
seeing you guys go back and forth as to like the different
Yeah.
ideas and stuff. And I have this guy that is literally like insanity. Like he and a psychology student created a whole like social nomenclature, all focused around like helping people understand each other's ideals and work for each other's missions. Right.
Right.
And so like I would love to see you have a chance to sit down with him and just ask and just have a conversation.
Right. That would be fantastic. That
Right.
sounds so exciting. And I think that like is just another way to utilize my time in a productive way.
Uh-huh.
You know, while we're all doing the most. And so that would be fantastic. I would love to do that.
I'll see if he would be available for something next Monday.
Okay. Sounds good.
Does Monday, like, because we'll be going from 4:30 to 6:30, so we can just give you guys a slot during that time.
Yeah. I could do that because I have a class until 5:15. But with the online classes and everything happening, I don't know like what classes I'm going to have an online WebEx classroom format as, you know, because so what my school is doing is they have this thing called WebEx, and it's what we're doing basically, but it's with an entire classroom of people, and we're all together having a discussion, which is fantastic. And it's like, and I haven't done it yet, but I can just like imagine what's going to
be. My friends have done it, or Zoom.
Yeah. I think everyone's doing it. I say it like it's this new thing. Everyone in the world is doing it. But see, I'm the type of person that learns from like actual conversations and discussions, and I take more from that than just like reading a book and like in writing. Like, and that's how I learned from other people is through these actual discussions. And so I have a class or used to have a class until 5:15 on Mondays. So, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Like, if that time period slot is going to be the same for the WebEx time. So, but we'll make it work. You know, figure it out. I'm not stressed. Yeah.
That sounds really awesome. And then we can also find times to like that are open for other people to like get involved. I know this girl named Andrea Gonzalez. Yeah. And she is looking like she's a high school student right now, but looking to become a social worker. Yeah.
I would love to meet her.
Yeah. And she does work in like public libraries. This girl's one of the like most driven people I know. Constantly like running from event to event, making different things to create community for like small kids that don't really have like a lot of family space or might need like a community area. And so I think that you guys could have like a really like involved and open conversation.
Absolutely. And that's fantastic. Also, I love meeting people who are also thinking of doing the same thing career-wise as me, because I want to be a social worker.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I do. So that's why when you said that, I was like, oh my God, that's fantastic. Yeah, so I would love that. I think we probably have very thoughtful or thought-provoking conversations about specific things that we're passionate about. I think that would be, maybe the same draw in different ways.
And Alec, the guy that helped us set up this conversation, is actually a writer. He self-published his own book.
Wow.
And if you wanted, I know that you were saying you were looking for advice and tips on like writing and stuff like that. And he has like so much experience when it comes to writing a book. He's the person. He's the person that I'm writing with now on the like textbook that we're trying to put out about like really getting people to rethink what respect is and how to work better with their peers.
Right.
And so it's just fantastic to see how in line with each other's missions like we all are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, I really feel like the more we can inspire collaboration between us all, the like
Mhm.
more community we'll feel, and the more we'll be able to like empower each other's dreams.
Right. I think that's like a key part to being successful in this type of setting is you really need you can't just do everything by yourself.
Uh-huh.
And I'm a very independently driven person where I think, okay, if I can do this by myself, then it's worth something or time. And I've started to realize more recently that things are so much more cohesive and just better. Can't think of like the good words right now, but it's just more effective, I think, when you're working with other people within a community base. Get to work off of everyone's ideas and really put in like all of the input that matters, and it works better. And so, and I also like that because it's about working together as a team and a community. And I think that is really admirable, and also just something that we all need to get back to.
Yeah,
because we do, and that's part of my book too. I want to kind of start it off almost in like a preface about how we lived or live in a very individualized society, and it can be a very good thing, because we do have to be self-sufficient. But it's also about understanding that we need to work together to really progress, in the way that I think we need to. So yeah.
Do you have a so what the thing that I've been wondering for a little bit is a little while back you said, I feel like we haven't had a lot of support for great women philosophers, right? And now I see that you are trying to write this book and like demonstrate the like ability and like thought process of the feminine in yourself.
Right.
And so I'm wondering how you want this book to be a win for the women of the world.
I think just writing a book about philosophy in general, about life as a woman, is going to be because I know there are other women philosophers out there, but have not been like nationally recognized, and they're not popularized in any way. Comparable or to philosophers like Socrates and Aristotle and Plato and Viktor Frankl, and it's like these are amazing people, but they're all men, and it's a very male perspective, and I think we just need an overall more understanding of everyone in the human race, and also to realize that like everything that's been celebrated and in a more in a brighter light, if you will, for lack of a better word, but it's been very like cis white male, like it's just one part of the gender spectrum, and I'm also just one part of the gender spectrum, and so to have another representation on that spectrum, I think is important too. But I also wish that people will see it as just a book about philosophy, and not just, okay, a woman wrote this, like this is going to be a very, like, it's going to be well constructed because I'm going to take my time writing it, and there's going to be a lot of effort and a lot of truth to it. And I want it to be, okay, like a person wrote this, and she happens to be a woman. That's cool. Like, I want it. This is about the human race and how we live on this spectrum, and there needs to be representation in every part of the spectrum. I just want to add to that. I think that's what it is. So, yeah. So that's kind of where I'm.
So it sounds like, if I was to condense that, you want this to be a win for women in adding more of their perspective to society's thought. Yeah, just to have that representation. But I think just in many ways, I think in history we've lacked representation among every type of person. I think it's getting better now. I cannot give you specific examples at all, but
I know for a fact that we are progressing and we're heading in that direction of more representation because we're all working hard. And I think a lot of the younger people of the world are really trying their best to instill that into the minds of people living now. And to make their voice heard. I think our access to technology has helped that. But it's never, like, nothing's ever 100%, there's always room for improvement. So I think we're heading that direction, and I just want to be part of that move, Yeah.
Do you have any idea how long it's going to take you to write this?
So that's a great question. So I mentioned earlier about my creative but yet practical process. I think what I need to work on as a person is to understand that my creative process can also be very practical and to have some sort of timeline. I think would be, and it doesn't need to be like very strict. I don't know if I want it to, because I think that would be overwhelming for me in a very like different way from just like being practical and having deadlines, so I think I need to work on that, but maybe I want to finish it before I'm 25. Like, okay. I want this to be kind of like an ongoing experience, but I think by the time I'm 25, which is in 4-ish years, it needs to be completely done and published and like out into the world.
Okay.
Because that gives me time to work on it, to really to rewrite it, and if I'm not like completely satisfied with it, I just want it to be like a product that I want to put out into the world that I feel like is ready to be read. Because there could be many different versions of it, but I think if I give myself like a prolonged period of time to really work within it, it would be definitely more like successful.
Okay.
So,
do you how does this book help propel you on the path towards who you truly want to become?
I think I mentioned a little bit earlier about how I struggle with these kinds of conversations, and I hope that this helps me to be a more open person, as I think I'm open to the world in very specific ways. And I want this to help me to be open in every way possible that I can be. And that means to be uncomfortable and be okay with it. And that's hard for me. So I think personally, I want to be able to do that. And I also think that this is just something I've always questioned. And this kind of coincides with morality and how we all have different perceptions of it. And I kind of want to get to the root problem of like, what actually is morality? This thing that people take so seriously, but in completely different ways. And everyone genuinely thinks differently about different moral issues. Why is that? Why isn't there, a universal moral code? I learned about objectivity and relativity in my philosophy class. And just a little spiel about both of those. Objectivity is basically a universal moral code, like a moral law. You can't change it. That's just what it is. It's objective. Relativity is that there really isn't any moral code, and we all kind of make it up ourselves. But relativity leads down a very negative path. So I want to know why can't it be both? And also why did we come up with these two ways if they both don't exist in a certain way? Because you can't have one and then have the other also. So you have two different beliefs and they can't exist at the same time. So why do they exist at all? So I think I just want to get to the bottom of it. And I think writing this will help answer that question. I will learn about different, how people think differently, and really absorb and digest it. And I think that's going to help. And so that's always been, it's been a very philosophical and abstract question in my mind for a long time. And I think this will help me answer that,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll lead to how I function in my daily life. I think it'll help me more. It's not something like this is a priority, and at this point, kind of a need.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is just going to help aid in the process of me becoming who I want to.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you're prepared to be on a public stage?
At the moment, like to talk about the book specifically.
Well, any person who writes a book is really propelled into the eyes of the public and is not to say scrutinized, but their ideas are examined. Do you feel as though you are prepared to be in the public eye and somebody that others will ask questions and maybe even one day look up to?
I think I am. I think that also comes with the information that I'll learn from this experience. I think that will help me feel more prepared. But I think as a person, I want to share with people. And I think it's good to share your own personal ideas and thoughts with people and have everyone do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we're all, like, going back to kind of the basis of, you know, the whole book, we're all different people and we all think differently.
Mm-hmm.
So why not share that? Because none of us know everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so in order to grow as people
mm-hmm.
on this earth, we need to learn from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of sharing your ideas and thoughts and your aspirations and the things you want to do and being public about it. So I think I am ready because I want to be able to do that.
Mm.
I think it's okay not to know all the answers too and just to have your ideas, because that's basically you know, an aspect of philosophy is just like talking about what you're thinking and creating debates and arguments just with your thoughts. And I think that's also really admirable and important because that showcases how differently we all think. So I think I am ready because I want to do that.
I'm glad to hear it. How has your family responded to you kind of getting into the thought of writing this book and the other people around you in your community?
I think, I think what I've done, I've been open about the actual writing process with a few people, but I haven't made it that public for a reason, and this is why. Because I don't feel that I have the complete thought on paper yet. It's not really concrete. All of my thoughts are in my head, which is great, but not for sharing those thoughts. I have to write them down and make them concrete. And so, and I find myself, like, with all of the, you know, things that are happening, just being overwhelmed recently and not able to really communicate those thoughts into words, onto paper, onto the internet. And I think once I do that, it'll be a little bit more real and feel more realistic. And so that's just personally something that I would like to work on during this time where we do have to be home. But I think, I don't, you know, no one knows why this happened, but for me, that's one of my goals in this time is to really use it to do that, to like accept that challenge and to face it head on.
Do you feel like what you are preparing to write is something that has never been written before?
I don't think so. No, I think people have I think this is a very generalized question. And I do think that people have talked about this before, and probably even written about it. And I don't know of any specific books, but I do think that this is not a new question, and that it's, you know, exists for a reason. But for some reason, it just it struck something like deep inside of me, and it's something that I feel is so important, and that's part of my personal journey to examine it and really understand what it's all about. And I would love to meet people, or maybe just, you know, research people someday that also feel this way, or maybe can help me develop my own thoughts about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think, like, specifically what I'm going to write about is unique because it's coming from my own thoughts, not something that I read on the internet. Because I definitely came up with this, like, on a whim one day. I had no experience with what this is before. A little, and I did learn about morality in a very minimal sense in one of my college courses. But this entire issue of being able to communicate and actively listen, I think the way I want to approach it is unique. So that's why I want to write a book, because I feel like it's my own ideas, and it will be successful and reach people in a different way, and maybe make people think differently.
Well, first off, I want to say it's really beautiful to see how intensely passionate you are about this.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's just like, I know it's something I have to do, and it's just part of my path. And it's weird. I'm one of those people that, like, knows that I have a purpose, and that we all have a purpose, and we probably have a multitude of purposes that we all, go through at some point in our lives. But for some reason, this is just a big one. So I guess I have to do it. I don't know. This is what I have to do. I mean, it's almost like it's not even my choice. Like, it's kind of just something up there is, like, orchestrating all this, and I'm just taking the hope. And then, I don't know. So we'll see. But it is something I'm passionate about, because it makes sense to me too. To write and use my skills to communicate thoughts, because I always liked writing, and I was like, I'm gonna write a book one day. Like, I've always said that, and like my mom knows. Like, I don't know if she's watching this, but I've mentioned this so many times to her, and she was like, yeah, you're gonna write a book someday. And I never thought I would sit here today and say that I'm writing a book. So, but it makes me feel good to say that. So that's how I know it's a good thing. Because it feels like the right thing. That intuition, gut feeling is good. It feels good. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
That's beautiful. I'm really excited to see where we go next. I have an interesting idea, if you're open to it.
Yes, absolutely.
Want to do your first round of interviews right now with me?
Oh my God. Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right. I'm here.
Okay. I'm thinking, is there any way that I can record this?
It's being recorded right now.
But will we be able to go back and watch this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine.
It's going to be completely archived. Anybody can watch it whenever they want.
Good. That's part of my book writing process, that I need to have conversations, but also record the sound so I can transcribe, like, actual quotes from people. Because everyone is going to be quoted. Like, but also I want your direct quotes, because I want not just my voice to be heard, but other people, and that will also emphasize how we need to work together. There's so many, like, the conclusion of this book is gonna be good. I can just see it. It's once it's together, it's gonna make a lot of sense.
Beautiful.
So, okay, so now that I wasn't prepared to actually have an interview, I'm going to ask you a question. What would you like to talk about specifically? Just because I'll throw some ideas, but if you have anything in mind about a specific topic that you would like to talk about, shoot your shot.
Okay. I'm gonna say first off, I'm not impressed by that question. I really believe you can give me a better question than asking me to come up with the next point of conversation.
Well, I didn't know if it was like something that the reason you said that was because you wanted to talk about something specific. So that's why I asked the question.
I have many thoughts. I have many things I could say, but those me acting on my initiative isn't really allowing you to express what you want to get out of this interview process. I could come up with something right now. I'm not saying it's impossible for me to do that. But
Right.
this is your process, so you should have the initiative.
Right. Okay. Let's see. What do I want to talk about? Let's do. Okay. I think we should talk about environmentalism.
Cool.
That one's struck me recently, and I want to talk about that. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Okay. So I'll introduce this, spontaneous interview with a little bit of a preface, so you understand like what I want to happen in the process. But basically, what I want to do when these happen with other people and I'll prepare for those when those happen, is I want to write up a short little, write up or like synopsis about how I want the conversation to go, and what I'm going to be like asking of people, and so it'll kind of, not like as a warning, but it'll be like I want to showcase how uncomfortable specific topics are. So what I want to have conversation will need to have completely different points of view. So one, like if especially if the person thinks the same way as me, or in that sense, one of us will have to play like the devil's advocate. So it'll genuinely be like a strong debate. And before, like I was thinking, like, I don't know if I want people to prepare their thoughts before, especially if they have to do or play like from the other side, or if that's something I would be doing. But or if I just want to be spontaneous and just have the conversation flow, and just that would be like a more accurate representation of like a real life conversation.
Could I
think
interject?
I'm doing it. Yes.
This is a really great opportunity for you to exercise leadership.
Yes.
Because as you speak and interview people, they're coming to you not very sure of what's going to happen. This is your process and your opportunity. So in Tumo slang, one of the biggest definitions is leadership, and that means ahead of history. Right? So when you go into the process, they're going to expect that you are prepared and that you know what is going on. Now, if you want the process to be spontaneous, you can have it be spontaneous. But you should make sure that you know what you're doing so that they feel like their time is being valued and that you aren't just coming up with things on the spot.
Right. That's why I want to create the little synopsis beforehand, so they understand like what I want to happen. And I haven't created that yet, but I think that'll just be like a generalized version of how I would like the conversation to go. So also so that it's focused and it has, I can actually use it, and it doesn't trail off into like a rambling, a heated session that is not productive, because I want it to emphasize how we can have productive conversations with people that we disagree with. All right, well, this is what I want to do then. I want to have, and this doesn't have to be a long conversation, maybe just a couple thoughts and to showcase like the example I'm trying to convey with all of this. But I want to talk about environmentalism with you, and I want to talk about the concept of climate change and global warming. Those are not supposed to be used interchangeably, but they're both valid in the same realm. So, because they're both different things. So I want to have a conversation about those things and the state of the world and how people are reacting to it and working around it or with it, and what those things are that's happening. So for you, I want you to be beside the person who is a climate activist, who is very who's active in trying to educate people on how dangerous this is and how it's affecting all of us, and how if we don't do something about it, it can cause like a mass extinction. And I'm going to play the other side because I also realized that I want to play the devil's advocate if the person, because I want the person to have their own views, you know, to like have the conversation work in their eyes, because as the interviewer, I think it would make more sense for me to play the other side as the orchestrator of the whole conversation. So I'm going to do that because it allows me to kind of have control over what I want it to sound like, if that makes sense. So I will play the person who doesn't believe in it and doesn't think that spending money on climate change is like okay, like just not spending any time or effort on it is fine because it doesn't matter because it's not real. So that's kind of, and so to give it a little bit more of an explanation, the reason I want to do complete opposite sides is because these types of people in real life do not agree on this topic at all. But to exemplify this conversation in like a staged way, and how at the end of it we will like listen to each other and understand the sides of, you know, that we're on, and that's what I want the result to be, because we're not that situation in real life. You're not going to resolve the actual debate or like the difference, because that's just you are two different thinking people. Like you just think so differently. But to be able to still exist like side by side and to have like a productive conversation to the point where there's no aggression between the two people or any kind of negative space, that's what I want the actual solution to be. It's not a solution to the conversation. The conversation is just an example of differing views. Does that make sense to the,
It does. So my role will be climate change supporter, and yours will be denier?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay. It's basically, I kind of want it to function as a debate. So what I want to, I'll start by talking first, and kind of giving some reasons as to why I feel the way I do, and like your feedback on what I say, and almost try to like make me understand that you see my point of view. Okay. Because that's part of the learning process of the conversation. So I'm just gonna, this is very interesting because I've never like played the devil's advocate like live stream before, so this will be very interesting.
Yeah. Have you ever done this before in general?
No. No.
Okay. So this is a moment of history, folks.
This is fun. Okay. This is, we're kicking it off. Okay. So I understand there's a lot of discussions recently about climate change, this thing that doesn't make a lot of sense to me at all. I understand the pollution issue. It makes sense. But I don't see it as really affecting us as a human race, because we're all still here, and like for a very long time, we have, created this pollution or these issues, and they really haven't affected us. Like, I just don't understand how people are getting so angry over something that I don't even believe is real. It doesn't really make sense to me. And just with my own political views, I genuinely feel like money should be put into not helping the environment, because I don't think it's a problem, but helping the people function and be financially successful. I think that's the way to do it, because that's how we progress as a human race. And I think that is the only thing that matters right now. And I'm very confused as to why people don't agree with that, because I just can't see the other side right now. So what do you have to say to that?
I would say that right now we are facing a slew of crises that have only been getting worse in the recent years. from the various hurricanes that have been hitting many parts of our world to the extreme droughts that are occurring in Africa. In my home, in my family's country of Cape Verde, there's there's a lack of water, where a couple of years ago that was never an issue. And even to further exemplify things, the years worth of fires that occurred in Australia and only just recently ended all are small. I call them small. They aren't small, but they are small compared to the things that will be coming as our climate becomes more unstable, as temperatures rise.
Right. Okay. I do see your point of view. That makes sense to me, because I do believe in science. But I also want to add that I'm also a religious person, and I believe that I do believe in God, and I think that whatever's happening, maybe it's happening for a reason, and maybe we're just supposed to let it take its toll. And that may sound morbid, but what if that's just the way it's supposed to be? And I just wanted to add that in there, because I do feel that it's important that we understand how people like myself are influenced by religion in that way, and how that kind of shapes the way we think about it, like specifically what we're discussing, climate change. And I don't want to say that what's happening right now isn't okay, because I'd also, now that you're saying all of these factual things that you have just discussed, it makes sense that why people are angry. I do see that. But personally, I just don't believe that we should be interfering with it. And I do believe that, like, my mission here on this earth is to help people be successful in a different way with other human beings. And I think we should just do that for however much time we have left. That's allotted to us. So.
I do see what you have to say about respecting your God and your religion. But I don't understand why we would prefer to continue acting in a way that is detrimental to our health and to the health of our children. If things continue to get worse due to the fact that we are pouring carbon into our planet, into our planet's atmosphere, my worry is that my children won't be safe when they're here on this planet.
Okay. I do hear what you're saying. I do think that what is happening, just based off what we see so far, because I am still very skeptical, but I kind of do understand what you're getting at with different changes in the climate that are occurring right this second. Like you mentioned, the fires, how there's been droughts, less water, and I do remember reading something about oceans that were rising and eroding land, and so I do believe in the science. I don't like how it's affecting the human race so negatively. I do not like that at all, because I think it's a wonderful thing to be a human being, and to have this opportunity here on Earth. But as this person who is religious, do we have control over how long we're here for? That's what bothers me. And so I'm not sure, but that doesn't make it any less hard to accept the fact that future generations may live horrible, desolate lives. That's not easy for me to understand. So I do hear you, and I also agree with you on that matter, how it's not okay. So, yeah. Do you have anything else you would like to say?
Do you believe that our work towards climate change couldn't be at the same time providing jobs and opening up new industries?
So that's a very interesting question. And when you mention production of new jobs, I was intrigued by that because I feel like that's part of our purpose, is to help create and progress. You know, here as human beings, we're supposed to be creating and progressing. And I think how we've done that is through work and career-wise and making money. So when you said that work towards actually helping the earth and the climate would almost be fulfilling that destiny that I feel we all have, definitely made me think about, in a different perspective, about the climate change's purpose in our world. And maybe part of our purpose is to actually change what's happening and not just let it take over us. So that's a very interesting thing. I would have to think more about that. But it made me see it in a different perspective, which I do appreciate. So, yes.
Are you worried at all that increasing our ability to power our systems via green energy would get rid of jobs in the oil industry?
I do believe that would be the case. And for me personally, I feel like the oil industry, knowing its effect on the environment, even though I feel like it may be supposed to be happening that way, I do feel that it would take away those jobs. But I know that that's worked for us for a long time. And as a business person, I understand when something works and works well, you keep up with the formula. But I also know that changing up the formula sometimes is how you progress. And so understanding that maybe that we're just going to become more financially successful in a different way, along with possibly helping the crisis that may or may not be actually orchestrated for us, I can see as an option. I do understand how that could play a part in our role here on this earth. So, do you in fate or free will? This is just a general question. Or do you believe in both?
Still in my role as a climate change believer. Personally, I've always thought that was a bogus question.
Okay.
Because I believe every human being is a well of infinite possibilities, and that most people just need to encounter the right idea in order to massively increase their potential.
Okay.
In terms of fate, in terms of free will, what I care about is my ability to every day take a step towards the future and the life that I want to live.
Okay. That's a very interesting answer to that question. And I appreciated it because now I see a different perspective. In my personal view, I feel as though I do believe in both fate and free will. I believe that there's something that's, that almost helps us find our destiny, or maybe has created one, but I feel as though what we do on a daily basis, what we choose to do, the reason that we have a choice, or we have choices, that's our free will. So I believe that in terms of climate change and the fact that I'm still very skeptical about it, I don't know if it's fate that has brought it to us, or if it's just something we need to use our free will to change. So that's what makes me skeptical as a person who believes very heavily in a religious figure.
So, are you someone that believes in the value of hard work?
I do, absolutely.
Well, what if, and tell me if I'm overstepping my bounds, seeing that I'm not as religious, what if this is a test that has been placed in front of us in order to see if, as a community, as a global community, we can overcome this challenge that exists in front of us?
I think that's a very interesting perspective, and I do like how you said that, because it's something that I have to think about a little bit more. I don't know if I believe in everything that you were saying, because I do. There's still that question of, is it fate for like the reason, like for our existence? Is that our fate to just not survive this? But through my passion in regard to hard work and just business and creating and prospering as humans, I think that that's also a possibility. The reason I'm skeptical is because I'm not sure, to be completely honest. And I think that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I don't know its reason. And I'm also a person that likes to find reason in specific occurrences, especially something of such a large magnitude, like this issue that everyone is concerned with in different ways. I'm concerned in a very different way than you are, but I do see your perspective.
So, you've said that you hear my perspective several times, but you haven't said what you plan to do with that perspective. And I'm trying to understand.
Okay. I like how you said that, because it's now going to force me to think outside of my own comfort zone. You believe that climate change is something that's going to bring the human race together. I can empathize with that to an extent. I do believe that it's here for a reason, and so do you. And I think that's where we can agree, that we believe it has a reason here, that it's not just something that is happening just frivolously. It's actually something that has a meaning to it. And when I first started this conversation, I was skeptical about it existing at all. And that is because I didn't know if it was orchestrated or if it was actually a real problem that is, that we have to endure. So I think now, nearing the end of this conversation, I believe that it is a real thing, and I have understood its magnitude based off of what you've said and what you've shared with me. I still don't know if we agree on the same reason it's here, but I do understand how it is. It's a problem in its own way, but I see it in a very completely different way. I also believe that we still think of how we're going to tackle this issue. There's two different ways of tackling the issue. I do believe that because you've said that you would like to work together as people to really combat it and to completely diminish the problem, hopefully. And I'm not sure if it's supposed to be happening to us, and if we're supposed to just let it slide and take us out. So I still have some thinking to do, but I've heard your perspective, and I think I can understand the way you think now that we've talked about this. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
What do you think? This is a question.
Okay.
What do you think will happen if nothing major gets done about climate change in the next 10 years?
Personally, I believe that let's see. I think I would have to look more into the science, but because I am a skeptical person, and that there are discrepancies between science and my religious values, I don't understand what the end result could be because of the way, or because of the things that I do believe in. But if I look more into the science and understand that it's progressing at an exponential rate, then I could see us becoming or entering the stages of a mass extinction, which in itself is extremely morbid, even though I do believe it may be orchestrated to be that way. But I'm not sure. But if the science is there and maybe it works together with this mission that I believe in, I do believe that's where we're heading. What do you think? I'm going to ask you the same question.
If nothing gets done in 10 years?
Yeah.
Currently, I believe that if we wanted to, the entirety of humanity could mobilize to deal with climate change the same way they've mobilized to deal with the coronavirus issue.
Okay.
And I think if we were to do something that serious, within the span of a couple of years, we would basically have no climate change issue to speak of.
Okay.
If we continue at the pace that we've had, which is to say, having administrations that publicly denounce climate change and work to slow down the progress of green energy, then I would say that in 10 years, things may be too destabilized for us to easily, as easily as today, fix the issue.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I think what I've learned from this conversation is that there is a lot of concrete science and knowledge about an issue that I didn't really believe in prior to this. As a logical person that is interested in religion, but also a very business-oriented life, I feel as though that was important information to digest and to use in my own perspective of the issue. And I think I can say that yes, I do understand the science. I think I would have to, now this has prompted me to look more into it and to do my research, because I also believe in education. I believe I need to be educated, and so maybe this was a little bit of a wake-up call in order to help me educate myself on the issue. I'm not sure, just based off of my religion, my religious values, if the human race can fix something that is maybe divinely oriented, if that makes sense. I do understand that this sounds like a little bit of a fundamentalist view, and it may not at all be comforting, but I do believe that that's just the way it is. So I have to disagree with you on the fact that we probably could change it, but I admire your drive too, because I think drive is motivating and it helps people in the different aspects of their life. So I commend you on that drive.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, do you have anything else to say, or?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Okay, that was fantastic. I think I'm done being I'm done being that person. Wow. Okay, that was a very cathartic conversation. Wow. How do you feel? We're out of the conversation now.
Understood.
I'm back to Sam, an actual believer in climate change, just to put it out there. I believe in the severity of it and how we need to be more active in fixing the issue. So, fortunately, I do not believe in what I was just arguing for. That's just my personal thing. But how do you feel after that? As Jairson, how do you feel?
I was curious what points you would stick to and what points you would lean up on.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice to hear the perspective of that particular person.
Yeah.
And I was comparing it to other times I've had such conversations, like when I was a salesman, and
yes.
I accidentally brought up climate change while I was doing one of my demonstrations.
Mm-hmm.
and the other person was a denier. And that was a intense conversation for a while in their home.
Wow.
So
Were there similarities, if you don't mind sharing, between what we just kind of orchestrated and?
Well, sorry for yawning.
No, you're fine.
Well, they how do I say this? They didn't even believe in the science of climate change. And so I tried to talk to them on the scientific level. And they refused to acknowledge its climate change's existence by holding to a sentence, a thought of theirs, which was the earth naturally has rises and lows and lowers in temperature over the years, and the possibility of humanity affecting that was actually hubris.
Oh, okay. Like, he didn't believe that
it was a woman.
Sorry, I just completely just, never mind. So the person, I don't want to create genders here. That was bad. Sorry, we're just going to apologize now for that little hiccup. But that person believed that we were so minuscule in the scheme of things that we couldn't even have a part to play.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. I kind of wish I felt that way, or I was playing that person, because that, I feel like, maybe would have made it have a little bit more girth to the conversation. But very interesting. That must have been a very difficult conversation to have.
I quickly figured out how to get back to selling knives.
That's that you gotta just do your best at that point.
Cause I compared the benefit. I did a cost benefit analysis of me convincing this person to believe in climate change versus me maybe making some money, and I was like, I'm not gonna make money if I hold to my points, and I need a check. So I was like, let's not. You can have your opinion. Let's finish what we came here to do, and move on. That was my attitude.
That's good. Were you able to sell the knives?
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's good.
It was just like what's it called? Surprising. Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry. No. Also, I think that conversation for me was very draining.
Why?
I think it was. Well, it was definitely abstract. I think I was thinking a lot about number one, just thinking from a completely different perspective of my own was difficult. And it helped. It almost like simultaneously helped me understand an opposite point of view. And so I hope I get to do that again with other topics, because it was definitely very insightful, but also very difficult. And it took me some time to kind of think of the opposite of what I think of, because there's different facets of that, or within the conversation. So that was interesting. But I enjoyed it, and I kind of enjoyed how we mentioned specific things, but it was more about just the way we feel about the topic. And that's kind of what I want the conversations to be more about. And you provided some factual evidence, but it wasn't all about the facts, which I appreciated, because I want it to just be about two people, like average people, who just have their own opinions and their differing opinions, and then being able to, not maul each other in conversation, And so I think what we did was epitomize how human beings cannot agree on a specific, very prevalent topic and still be able to talk thoroughly about it and listen to each other. And I tried my best, like you were saying about the different perspectives, I tried my best to explain how I was like, oh yeah, I see your perspective, but without putting in my own input and bias. That was difficult. So, like my personal, that when I wasn't playing that character. So very interesting. I know.
Do you plan on having that conversation with actual, climate change deniers?
I would love to. That's what I want to do. I want to find people that genuinely, believe in the opposite I believe in. So that, I'm able to really be truthful and honest about what I'm feeling and what I know and what I think. And with someone who doesn't feel the same way. That's the goal too, and that's, I think, I'm going to find those people by networking and really making it public about like the goal of conversations, and I want everyone to be involved. And I think hopefully that'll reach out to people with different opinions than my own.
If you want to get more people of different opinions in contact with you, it might be a smart idea to use the We Are Human Facebook page to reach out to different groups, because there are denier groups that you can just join and ask people if they want to have an open conversation with you, right?
Right.
And if you were to do that and get their attention and willingness to do something like this, then Haven could orchestrate a video conversation between you guys, a public video conversation between you guys.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And if we started having many public discussions between people of different opinions, I think not only would you get fascinating content for your book, but you might even be able to start a movement of these types of conversations.
Okay. That makes sense. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. Okay. I have to really think about what I want to do with that and how I want to make this happen. Yeah.
Well, do you want to do that?
I like the idea a lot. I think there are some steps I have to take before I can really focus solely on that. Like just developing media in general and learning how to use it and actually use the tools that I do have right in front of me. And I think once I figure that out, then actually doing everything else with those tools and actually using those tools to make that happen seems like a possibility. But I think that's something I'll figure out once I have more conversations.
Okay.
If I want to do that all the time, or if I just want to do it for the book. But I think maybe I would be interested in creating an outlet for where I could do that with people for my book, but also have an outlet for other people to do the same thing, but in a safe place, in a safe space. So it would be like people not including, so two people, not including myself, having that same type of conversation, but in a safe place where there are, there's comfort in knowing that the people that you're having those conversations with almost want to learn from the opposite side, or at least influenced by it in a positive way, especially when it's something that you disagree with. And so I think that would be a very interesting thing to start doing. Well, and I think that a very positive space for people, especially right now, you know? Yeah.
Well, there are, if you're open to my ideas, I have a couple that just came out of what you just said.
Okay. Yeah.
First off, I can help a lot with helping you learn about how to use social media.
Okay.
We can create an Instagram page for you and kind of start setting up so that you can easily upload pictures of your interviews as well as different like aspects of what you're doing. Because I don't know if you've realized, but like what you are doing is a business in itself. And there are many ways for you to really become a leader in this society, if you are willing to push humanity's thought process forwards.
Yeah.
Because there seem to be a couple of like conversation spaces, like that guy changed my mind, Stephen, I believe Cowder. But if you were to become a new space for people to have these open conversations and seriously facilitate humanity's ability to overcome polarization, then you would go down in history as one of the world's greatest philosophers.
Well, that would be exciting. That sounds really It's just funny because, you know, like, I don't know, I had this dream as, like, a little girl that I, like, wanted to be on American Idol, and I just wanted to sing to people, you know? I don't know, I'm mentioning this for a reason. So I was always like, yeah, I just want to, like, have people hear what I want to say or what I want to sing. And I think this is just coming out in a very different way. And it's through my thoughts and ideas and not, like, my voice. So, I don't know, maybe that's going to happen. But this is, I think, my challenge that I have to accept and really ensue here is that I have to really do it. Like, I have all the ideas. I just have to do it, you know? And that in itself, which is hard to explain, there are some walls there that if we do another live stream like this, I can talk about and be very frank about. But part of, like, my personal challenges, I've realized, is just going out and actually doing stuff. And it's weird because I have this weird fear that I think it's almost like a fear of failure. Like, I'll do it and I won't succeed and it won't be worth my time. And probably some other things that are making me think that I can't think of right now. But I think that's why I am so reluctant to do things all the time, is because of that, like, small subconscious fear. And so doing stuff like this is a challenge in itself because of that. And so it's so interesting now that I'm talking about it. Like, I'm feeling lighter. Like, I'm doing the right thing. It's weird. Like, I don't know. There's lots of science happening all about, but I think I think I just did it. So I think like this is just the step, crossing the bridge, like just taking that first step, you know. So we're doing it. It's getting there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you have my loyalty.
Yay! That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's just fantastic.
Yeah. And it's not just me too. Like Alec can help in a lot of ways getting out your message in terms of creating different content, videos, all sorts of stuff like that.
Right.
And Shira too, like she's really interested in policy change and in like social reconstruction.
Yes.
As well as Norman, who is on track to really focusing on becoming a global leader. Like his goal is to get into politics and to try and bring more connection to people, you know.
Right.
And those are just some of the people involved with me, and we're a team looking to grow and help our society reconsider some of these like inherent flaws.
Yeah.
And so
we're all change that needs to happen.
Exactly. This is a real movement, and like if you want, we can do great things together.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so exciting. Wow. Oh God, it's just, you know, when you think about this stuff, it's so comforting. That's another thing too. I think once you realize that there are so many people that do think like you, or have very similar thoughts, and want to, you know, make those thoughts a reality, it's very comforting.
Yeah.
And also very inspiring. Just very inspiring to be able to know of that. Yeah. And to see it in action. So yeah, that's sick. It's rad.
I mean, we're totally new, you know that. Like this didn't exist last year.
I know. It's weird how this is all happening. It's weird. That's how things are supposed to happen. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. We're just doing it.
Yeah. I mean, we're incredibly lucky because I really believe that Haven is going to be this generation's next leaders.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. Because it's just progressing by the minute, you know? So, that's fantastic. But, yeah, wow. So.
This has been going on.
Do it?
Yeah, this has been going on for a while. I'm sure you have.
I realize that. It's been almost 2 hours. An hour and a half.
Yeah. So do you want to maybe have a meetup where we do like social media stuff?
Yeah, I do need that. I do. I think because another thing is I want to be able to utilize like editing apps and really make things creative looking, like on the internet, you know, and be able to do that. I think that's important for like my artistic style that I want to produce and make public. So that would go along with the conversation. But yeah, I would like that.
When?
Okay. So, let's see. I have. Oh, sorry. Oh, we're having a slow day today. I wonder. I mean, honestly, any day, but like a Tuesday or Thursday is good for me.
Okay. Would you be down to do this Thursday?
Yeah, let's do it.
What time?
Can we do it at the same time? Is that okay?
12 o'clock 12. On Thursday?
Yeah. Does that work for you?
It should.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I have to get a hotspot. because
Okay.
I don't have Wi-Fi at my place. I'm in my family's home right now, but
Right.
I'm going back to Providence soon, and
Okay.
there's no place I can go anymore that has free Wi-Fi because they're all closed down. So
Yeah.
I think I just have to buy in and get a hotspot.
Yeah. If not,
No,
see, this is
it's not a if not. I'm basically gonna do that after this conversation.
oh, okay, all right. So, because I didn't know if it was possible to buy those things with everything going on too, like if they're even.
I'll find out how.
You were just gonna do it that way.
Yeah.
It's all about motivation, being empowered.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's do it. So I'll write it in my calendar. We'll make it happen. Are we gonna do another chat like this?
I think it would be cool to do a chat like this to start with, where we figure out what we're going to do and what like your goals are for social media, so that people can have an idea of what like our like plan is for the future.
Right.
But then I think we should go offline and begin the actual work of
yeah. No, okay.
Does that sound solid?
I meant not like a live chat like this, but a regular, just like video chat.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So like what I just described would be that we did part of it like in a live where we did the discussion, and then after we finished and figured out exactly what we were going to do, then we could take it offline and actually start working together if you want.
Yeah, let's do it that way.
Because the more history we can give people, the better, so that they can see not just where we end up in the future, but our progression.
Yeah.
Right? Because one of my biggest goals since we've started doing all this live streaming is doing stuff like getting a better camera, getting a better getting a better laptop. You know, like moving towards providing a better station for people to see and hear about what's happening. And I love the idea of how you can start out as this little crappy like group, but show people how with time and dedication you can improve and improve and improve.
Yeah.
And in the span of even just a couple months, be in a completely different place than you were before.
Right. Yeah. It's all about progression.
Yeah. So
and appreciating the process.
Yeah.
I think that's too. Yeah. Yay.
Do you feel good about today?
I feel like fantastic. I think maybe I'll just like we'll just start making videos about everything. I don't know. Maybe I'll just start doing that and sharing like my journey through the writing process and just like life in general, and through this goal that I have. I think that would be fine. I think finding the motivation has been difficult, and I think that's good to share because it kind of makes me more like a human being. Like, oh, and I don't have everything together. Like, no, it's like not an easy challenge and fulfilling, to do, even though it's very difficult just for me personally. So I think being honest about that is good. But like after today, I feel very motivated. That's good. So it's a really good thing. Yeah.
So I can make us a We Are Human Instagram page really quick.
Okay.
Did you ever make actually I think I'll probably save that for Thursday, but did you ever make that cover thing you said you were gonna do?
No, I didn't. Yeah.
Could you make that for Thursday?
I could, yeah.
Because then we would have some nice content to start putting up.
Yeah.
I want you to know too. You can. So I did this live stream this special way because the only way for someone to see both of us is if you use the program I'm running called OBS.
Right.
But if you want to ever just talk about stuff and just run a live, you can do it on Facebook whenever you want.
Yes. I think I know how to do that. Or I could figure that out because that's just a feature on Facebook.
It's
right.
super easy. You just go to the page and then literally you just type, like, pull your phone up.
Okay. Well, I'm recording on my phone.
Okay. You literally just go to the page and scroll down slightly, and it says "Go live."
Oh, okay. Well, I'm on Facebook right now. Oh.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you just go to
Yeah.
Do you see where it says "Go live" on the page?
Is it on the Facebook page?
Yes.
How do I get rid of this? Okay, I can't. No, I don't see it.
Okay.
Would it be? Oh, maybe because I'm on. Okay, I'm on my page now. I was on We Are Human. It's at. Isn't the end of the page like just the first post that you had?
I'll just send you a picture.
Okay.
So that you can just find it, because I think that'll probably be easier.
Okay.
But yeah, we will self-educate and learn so that you can power forwards, my dear philosopher.
Yes, I love it. Okay.
Yeah, anything else?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to end the live. Let's say goodbye to everybody that came through or came by for the pre-recorded thing.
So thank you so much for stopping by and listening to us and experiencing the first discussion of my book. That's fantastic. So, this was exciting, and I hope this happens again. Do you have anything to say about it?
I want to say thank you so much, Samantha Dick, for joining in, becoming a part of Haven, like seeing how if you just have a community of people pushing your goals and what you want to do, you can actually empower yourself and shoot forward like a star. Right.
I love it. So we're doing it.
Yes. Yay. Okay. I just ended the video.
Okay.
Right?
So we're not